I guess one of the most exciting things that we've been involved in, directly funding and participating, which has been super rewarding for me, has been working on what's called a shared narrative. And one of the things that we did at the beginning of the foundation, when we starting the environmental education program, is collaborated and convened with other funders in what's called the Blue Sky Funders Forum. And Blue Sky, so all these funders that are mostly place-based, like I was explaining to you earlier, in Chicago, in Portland, Oregon, in Connecticut, in New York, and Texas. We all asked our grantees, what are some of the common challenges that you face? Like what are the things that have been holding back your organization or your work from really busting through the mainstream? And we got 4 or 5 consistent answers. But one of the things that we heard in every part of the country was that the messaging coming out of this field was all over the place. And it was differentiated for the point of raising money to support the organization, and was not shared for the point of making a larger case about why this is important. And so we, with a bunch of other colleague funders, we funded a process to bring leaders from the field and the movement of environmental and outdoor learning together and spend time thinking about what are the common values that they have. And from that value frame, not a mission frame, remember I said the missions are all unique about the different types of programming that's going on, but what do they value? And what we found is every single program values a more diverse and equitable society and a stronger and healthier community. And so when we started writing narrative, when we started writing stories in those frames, they resonated on a much broader level than any one individual story about a program. So it used to be, hi, I'm Jason Morris, I'm with NatureBridge, and we do field science, environmental education in national parks, like full stop, right? And now it's like, you know, the role that that benefits of spending time can have to children in the outdoors is incredibly important, and every child should have that opportunity. And our work is to focus that opportunity in national parks, right? So I flipped it around. And this shared narrative is under the tagline, Rethink Outside. Because we've got to put behind us these notions that nature, for one thing, is only found in far off places, in national parks that you have to climb into the station wagon and drive for days on end to get there. And that nature is also found in backyards and on sidewalks and on school grounds and in city parks where most people live. And so by rethinking what the outside is, we find that there are many more learning opportunities than just if you expected that you could only go to Yellowstone to learn about environmental learning. And so that shared narrative has been really powerful in our thinking to help us expand our notion of what environmental education is. Many organizations who we fund now don't even call what they do environmental education. And that's really powerful. And when we started to look at it from that frame and talk about it in that frame, along with thousands of people and organizations across the country, we better understood the barriers that were preventing that from kind of going mainstream. And so like access is a huge barrier. Who has access to parks and open space and green schoolyards, and who doesn't? It's a pretty stark divide in this country. And so it's important for us to work on access issues, because if you can't access, then you can't have environmental and outdoor learning, right? So if we care about environmental and outdoor learning, which we do, we would only be getting a certain population of the country if that's all we focused on. And so it's really helped, this shared narrative process and the thinking behind it has really helped expand, you know, kind of open the aperture up to what are the issues that we need to work on in order for environmental and outdoor learning to be far more accessible to kids than it does right now. And that was really helpful. And so that was like this really cool opportunity to collaborate with colleagues from all over the country, from tremendously different life experiences and experiences with learning in the outdoors, and come together and find out what's common, and what we could do together that none of us could do by ourselves. And so that was really powerful. Yeah, we like to think of it as infrastructure, right? So like what are if you step away from the programs and the marketing and all that, and you look at effective movements in the world, what infrastructure do they have that supports them? And every one of them has a shared narrative. Every one of them has a knowledge base or research, base to support it, where you can go point to studies that prove that it's effective, right? Every one of them is equitable and relevant to a broad swath of the population. Every one of them has an effective advocacy organization. Every one of them has robust funding, and every one of them has standards of practice. And so like those are the things that we're working on as a foundation. Instead of funding program by program, we'd run out of money before we got out of any given state. We fund these pieces of infrastructure because we think that if those pieces exist, everybody's program gets stronger, everybody's program's more visible, environmental and outdoor learning happens to more kids.